So, a little bit of different change of scenery today. I'm in my office, as you can see from the books in the background. And if you hear TV noise, it's because hubby is watching basketball playoffs. And I'm actually waiting for him to finish with the basketball playoffs so I can cook lunch. Because I like to listen to audiobooks when I'm cooking lunch, and I can't do that with the basketball and the TV on. And I don't want to make him just turn off the sound while he's watching the last, 5-10 minutes of his basketball. I did ask him when it was going to be done, and he said 5 minutes unless they go into overtime. So, and I find sports really strange. Okay, I'm not a sports person. I don't watch any of that stuff. But, it's kind of like basketball, or is it football? I'm not sure. But it's like, oh, how much time do you have left on the game? 5 minutes. And it's like the world's longest 5 minutes, because in TV time, those 5 minutes with the timeouts and whatever else it is that they do is like 15 minutes. So, yeah. I'm not looking very polished today because I'm working from home. And I've kind of had a rough start to the morning because I was just really tired. I've been working on this book work thing, and it's over 100,000 words. And oh my goodness, the sentences are so long. In genre fiction, particularly in romance, this has nothing to do with the video I'm making. And it's just me, going off on a tangent and rambling, which if you watch any of my videos, you'll know by now. In genre fiction, we really sort of do like short sentences, punchy sentences, short dialogue. And this is nonfiction. And dude, some of those sentences are like over 100 words long. It's an entire paragraph. And they are long. And I'm prepping it for audio recording, and it is just doing my head in. So anyway, that was late last night. I got done about 3 a.m. and I woke up this morning feeling very tired. So anyway, I've got my Topol Fiddler on the Roof t-shirt on. I'm very casual today. And I love this t-shirt. We got it when we used to watch a lot of musicals and go to a lot of musicals. The ones I like, I'll get a t-shirt. I had one for Mamma Mia, which I bought like 15, 16, 17 years ago. I don't know when Mamma Mia first came out. And anyway, I wore that thing to death. And I finally had to like sort of say goodbye to it. But the point of this video, 3 minutes in, is I have a very unpopular opinion. And I am not good with unpopular opinions in that I have a lot of them, and I try to not impose them on too many people. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? Oh, okay, good. I was just checking to make sure my computer wasn't going to be dinging at me while I record. So I have a lot of unpopular opinions. And now that I'm going through menopause, I can get a little ragey about those, and I really sort of have to like keep myself in check. But I wanted to talk about this because, and you've seen by the title what it is Bianco Latte, Giardini di Toscana's Bianco Latte. And I recently had it in my weekly perfume adventures. And I was like, I'm going to try this again. It's so popular. Everybody loves it. And everybody's carrying on and on about how much they love it and how beautiful it is and how gourmand it is. And I watch these reviews and people go, oh, men chase me down the street asking me what perfume I'm wearing because they want to buy it for their girlfriend or their wives and things like that. And I'm like, I don't get it. So when it comes to very expensive perfume, I try really hard not to blind buy them because they're expensive and I just don't have that kind of money. And I'm not an influencer. I don't get sent stuff and whatever. This is fun, okay? This is fun and hobby for me. So I got a sample of it. This is a 10 ml sample, and most of it is actually in here because I like to decant them into these little twisty containers or perfume dispensers, and they're gorgeous, aren't they? Look. But also the fact that it does this, that outer container protects the perfume and allows me to travel with them. And I have quite a few of those like that. So I've put that in there. I had about maybe a ml or so of this left, which I've used up. Thank goodness. And I also have the Taskeen Caramel Cascade by Paris Corner, which I decided to get because it's not ridiculously expensive. I'm just looking at it on it was $59, Australian. Okay, and I know, like on Reddit, people are like, oh my God, that's so expensive. You know, I can get it for $20 here in America. I know, it's Australia, and we're in the middle of nowhere at the other end of the world, and everything costs more. So yes, I have this. So here's the thing. Here's my unpopular opinion. I got the Bianco Latte months and months and months and months, many months ago. And I tried it once, twice, and I was like, I don't get the hype. I don't understand why this is viral. And people are still talking about it. And in case you're wondering, so this is Bianco Latte. I don't have a bottle because I only bought a decant. And it's actually not available to buy in Australia. You do have to buy, I think, either from the website or from the US or something like that. But some people have gotten it, so there you go. And the main accords are vanilla, sweet, caramel, balsamic, powdery, honey, musky, aromatic, and woody. And so the notes are caramel, coumarin, honey, vanilla, and white musk. Okay, it's straight up just sweet caramel to me. And I don't love it. So I've tried it, and I've tried it again recently. Because I want to like it, but the truth is, I don't. I find it very linear, and I find it's not very interesting. And it's just basically, to me, sweet caramel. And if I'm being perfectly honest, I actually find it kind of boring. And I don't understand the hype. And it could be entirely a me thing, because this is my very unpopular opinion, is that it's just not for me. But, you know, I've seen how many people like it, and I'm trying to figure out what it is about it. But it's just not one for me. So my unpopular opinion is I find Bianco Latte very linear and very boring. But I did go and get the Taskeen Caramel Cascade, which is supposed to be a dupe for the Bianco Latte, because I thought, oh, you know, I'm going to try it. The Middle Eastern perfumes generally tend to be a little bit more interesting, even when they copy and they dupe something, you know, because of that Middle Eastern influence, every now and then it can, you know, have a little bit more extra spice or nuance or oud or whatever that makes it a bit more interesting. No, this is almost an entirely, so if you want a dupe for Bianco Latte, this is a very, very good dupe for Bianco Latte. And it's a fraction of the price. And I think you get like 100 mils of it. It's a ginormous bottle. I'll have a look. Yes, it's 100 mils. So it's big and it's a lot, but it's basically just sweet caramel. And if you've ever eaten a caramel sauce or a caramel, what do you call that stuff that you put on top of topping, you know, at if you go to Macca's and you had their sundaes and you pick the caramel topping, which is what hubby always does. He actually likes caramel. I'm not crazy about it. I like salted caramel. I think the salt makes it really interesting. I always go for the hot fudge. That's what it smells like. if you've ever cooked or made your own caramel, that's what it smells like. And it's exactly that. It's just caramel, and it's straight up caramel. Some people sort of say, you know, with the coumarin and the powdery notes, it's a little bit powdery and it's interesting, a little bit musky. There's probably some of that in there, but I just don't find it does anything for me. And I can't stress enough, this is entirely my opinion. And I know I'm doing an entire video on one perfume. But last night, I decided, you know what, I'm going to spray it on hubby, because I was wearing it and I was smelling it, and all I smelled was sweet caramel in it. It didn't make me feel good. Okay, I don't know if you remember, if you've watched a previous video of mine where I was talking about the Dua backyard bonfire. Now that one, that made me feel things. Okay, it was warm, it was cozy, it just like, it was sweet, but it was interesting because it had a little bit of smokiness in it, and it just made me feel all sorts of warm, cozy, fuzzy vibes, you know. This one was just, oh, it's sweet and it's boring. But anyway, so I sprayed it on hubby. And hubby is such a good sport because, you know, we're lying in bed, it's late at night, usually it's late at night. And I go, oh, I want to spray you. And I'll go and run off to you know, my cabinet where all the perfume is stored, and I'll grab a bunch of stuff and just spray it all over him. Well, not a bunch, 2 things, because usually, you know, 1 on each arm. And so I put this on one arm, and I don't tell him which is which. I don't tell him, you know, what is the original, what is the dupe. And I put this on his other arm. And I go, what do you think? And he's funny because, you know, I'll spray it. The perfume molecules are still all over in the air, and he'll just take a big whiff and it goes right up his nose. I don't know how he does it, because I keep saying to him, look, just let it sit on your skin for a minute or 2 and let it settle before you smell it. But no, he never does that. So anyway, he's immediately sniffing this and he's immediately sniffing this, and I'm like, well, what do you think? And he goes, oh, I don't know. It smells like something, but I don't know what it is. Is it woody? Is it musky? Is it sweet? What is it? And he goes, I kind of smell spice. And it which is hilarious, trying to get him to figure out what something smells like, because you think, for a man who's written a book about wine and who is an expert in being able to taste different notes in wine, and who can distinguish, you know, the smoke from the leather, from the berry and the cherry and the black currant in a red wine. He cannot do it with perfume. He cannot do it with scent. He's just like, I don't know what's wrong with my nose. I can smell a wine and tell you what I'm smelling. And I can tell you what, you know, notes are in the wine, but I can't do it with perfume. So, you know, I think part of it is vocabulary, but also part of it is just, you know, he's just not used to the fact that perfume scents are very different and perfume notes are very different, but it's hilarious for me to watch. But anyway, so I said, do you like it? And so he goes, this is nice. It's spicy, spicier, and sort of a bit more punchy. And this is softer. And he's right. This is a little bit softer. When it settles down in the dry down, it's a little bit more powdery and it's a little bit more musky, but you still get that really sweet caramel coming out, and you smell that right through. Whereas this has a little bit more zing to it, and I'm guessing, I don't know, don't quote me, I'm guessing it's probably the coumarin in it that's giving it that little bit of zing. Whereas with the Taskeen caramel Cascade, which, by the way, isn't that gorgeous? That's what it looks like on the Private Blends website, and it's sold out. It says caramel, milk, tonka bean, honey, vanilla, and white musk. So it's got tonka bean instead of coumarin. in it, and it's got milk in it as well, which there's no milk. I think, I don't know. I have no idea how accurate Fragrantica is in the original Bianco Latte. So this is softer, and I do know that it is softer, but to me, they're both just a sweet caramel fragrance, which I don't find very exciting or very interesting. However, that said, I've been sitting here in the last day or so thinking, well, what do I do with this? Because I've got a bottle of it. And I generally don't blind buy a lot. And my rule is I will only blind buy something if it is under $100, because, you know, well, this is Australia, and under $100 is pretty affordable when it comes to perfume in Australia. Okay, I'm not talking about anywhere else in the world, because you know, in the US things are a lot more affordable when it comes to things like this. But once you get in with the exchange rate and, you know, shipping fees and having to pay for, you know, your dangerous goods declaration and what have you, it can get pretty spendy. So my rule is under $100 I will blind buy, and I don't blind buy much. But I have this giant bottle of the Taskeen Caramel Cascade, and this is a beautiful bottle, by the way. It's got this lovely sort of soft touch beige thing going on that I really like. And I'm like, well, what do I do with it? So I'm thinking, and this is me just thinking, okay, and I haven't tried it yet, so I will, and maybe I will report back at some time. But I'm thinking that I was going to get rid of it. I thought about getting rid of it, but then I've decided, you know what, I'm gonna keep it, and I will layer it with something interesting, because I'm thinking if I layered it with, for example, is it the Maison Alhambra tobacco, which is very, very heavy, spicy tobacco, and it needs some sweetness through it. Layering it with this would make it, the tobacco, sweeter, and I would like it more, because then it's kind of like a sweet, spicy tobacco, which I like. So I'm trying to think what scents I have that I can layer this with or mix, because what I will do is I don't like having two bottles and spraying on top of each other. So I'll take a decant bottle like that. Usually I do something smaller, either a 3 ml or a 2 ml, and depending on the scent, I might do like 2 parts of one and 1 part of the other, experiment a bit, and then mix it, and then adjust until I kind of get it exactly the way I like it. But I'll put it in a bottle like that, give it a good shake, and then spray it, because then it's really well mixed and it's in the proportions that I like. So I'm thinking I might do that and experiment with that a little bit. So I'm thinking I might mix it with the Maison Alhambra tobacco. See how that goes. I think it's Maison Alhambra. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I think I might also mix it with like something ambery. I probably have something ambery in my collection somewhere. I'll look for it. But I think I might mix it with something ambery and see how that goes. And I will look at some of my other Middle Eastern perfumes. I think I have some that were given to me, or that somebody might have thrown in when I bought a used bottle. I think there was like some Al Noble, is that what they're called? Ones, you know, the Wazir. I'll see if I can find it and show you quickly. Yeah, these ones. You know, the ones that look like they have a deadly weapon on top of it. You can, you know, stab someone with it. I might mix it with one of these, because I've got all 3 of them, and see which ones work better, because some of them are a bit odd. I have to admit, some Middle Eastern fragrances can be a bit odd. And see how that goes. So I'm going to have a play, and maybe I'm in a group of gourmand fragrance lovers, I'll see if anybody wants like decants of this for, you know, like a big decant of like 5 mils or 10 mils. But honestly, and this is me going off on a tangent again, this was $59 for 100 mils. And to make it worth my while to actually decant, doing 2 mils or even 5 mils is kind of a pain in the rear end, because it's a lot of effort, and then you take in the cost of postage and you take in the cost of the bottle and all of that sort of stuff. Whoever it is who wants it might as well just go and get the full bottle. But I totally understand the whole concept of a decant, because, you know, I did get the Bianco Latte as a decant, and that worked out really well for me. So I don't know, I'll ask in the group and see if anybody wants decants of this, and I'll have to figure out what to charge, because, you know, it shouldn't be ridiculous, but it also shouldn't be, you know, I don't know, it's just, it's I have to figure out what to do with this, because this is a giant bottle and I'll never get through it. All right, well, that was me rambling for 21 minutes on one perfume that I do not like and have a very unpopular opinion of. So, yeah, Look, if you've made it this far, and I keep forgetting to do this with all of my videos because they're all long and rambly, because that's just what I am and who I am, leave a little candy emoji, or, you know, if you're Australian, a lolly or a sweetie emoji, and let me know you actually made it right to the very, very, very end. So, yeah, thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time. Bye-bye.